Rainbows don't give up. It was raining slightly, although it was likelier to get heavier. It set the mood perfectly, a solemn feeling of gray cast down over Ponyville. Rainbow Dash was stood outside, her heart heavy and her mane wet. She had been standing there for Celestia only knows how long. She was sure the sun was still up when she got there, but now it was the dead of night. She had no idea what she was doing, and that was unlikely to change. She looked down at the ground, her eyes closed, an unfamiliar feeling of dread in her stomach she hadn't been able to rid herself of for years now, but only recently had she managed to learn the reason behind it. A shiver ran down her spine. It violently shook her and brought her back from her depressing thoughts. She looked up. Some of the lights were still on. Possibly only a dim candlelight, but it was enough. She took a deep breath and knocked on the door. Some fumbling could be heard coming from inside, as well as some angered whispers. Eventually, the numerous locks and door chains could be heard clicking out of place, and the door swung open. "Oh, hey, Rainbow Dash," Twilight said. Her voice was laden with confusion and tiredness. She saw Rainbow standing there in the freezing cold, her mane and coat drenched in rain. She was shivering profusely. "Oh my gosh, Dash! Get inside, quick!" Twilight quickly unbolted the second part of the door and opened it fully, allowing Rainbow Dash to walk in. "Are you all right, Rainbow?" Twilight asked as she tried to hug some warmth into her. She let her through to her study. She had a fire going in there. She went and found a blanket and put it over Rainbow, tucking in the loose edges under her as she sat on the beanbag chair. "What are you doing here, Rainbow?" Twilight asked, her voice full of concern. Rainbow said nothing, as all she did was untuck an edge of the blanket and gesture Twilight to come lay next to her. And she did happily. As Twilight nestled in close, Rainbow let out a contented sigh. Twilight shivered as she felt Rainbow's wet coat on hers. "How long have you been standing out there?" Twilight was determined to get an answer, but she didn't. Instead, she got nuzzled by Rainbow and felt a comfortable feeling inside. Twilight rested herself onto Rainbow and dozed off in the warmth of the fire. Sometime later, she awoke to the sound of quiet, quivering tears coming from the mare beside her. "Rainbow," she whispered, "what's wrong?" Rainbow looked up. Her eyes gave way to the fact that she had been crying for a while now. "Twilight." Her voice quivered as she spoke through the tears. There was a long pause. "Come on, Rainbow, you can tell me," she said in a friendly manner. Rainbow paused for her cleansing breath. I have to tell you something." "What is it?" Ever since Rainbow growled angrily at her inability to think of how to start. "Take your time, Dashie. We have all night." "Ever since you came here," she paused again. "Ever since I crashed into you that day, Her voice faltered to a halt. "What?" Twilight whispered affectionately. "You see, well..." She tried to think of something to say. "Twilight, we're no strangers to love, are we? I mean, you know the rules and so do I," she said quickly. "Huh?" Twilight was confused. She knew very little about love, let alone the rules. In fact, she hadn't even heard of the rules of love until just then. "This might seem a little forward, but a full commitment is what I'm thinking of, and I know you wouldn't get this from any other mare." "What are you saying, Dash?" I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. I just gotta make you understand." Rainbow sat up and put a hoof on Twilight's chin to turn her face to hers. She looked deep in her eyes. They penetrated her soul and gave her courage to continue speaking. "Twilight, I'm never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. I will never make you cry or say goodbye. I'll never tell you a lie or hurt you." "What, Rainbow Dash? Seriously, I'm confused." Twilight was getting nervous. Rainbow fell back down onto the beanbag. She saw that Twilight wasn't reacting in the way she hoped and burst into tears. Twilight stood up from next to her, which only intensified Rainbow's tears. Twilight walked around in front of Rainbow and stooped down, so their faces were mere inches from each other's. "Rainbow, we've known each other for so long." Rainbow looked up and saw the smile on Twilight's face. She just couldn't help but smile back. "It's obvious that your heart's been aching, but you were just far too shy to say it. Inside, we both know what's been going on. We know the game and we're going to play it." Twilight helped Rainbow to her hooves. "And Rainbow, if you ask me how I'm feeling, don't tell me you're too blind to see." "Twilight," Rainbow said, once again on the brink of tears, but this time happy tears. "Shh, shh, shh." Twilight put a hoof on Rainbow's lips. "Rainbow Dash, I'm never going to give you up either, or let you down, or run around and desert you. I won't ever make you cry, say goodbye, lie, or hurt you." Rainbow Dash could have exploded with joy, but decided against it. Instead, she went for the better option and lunged at Twilight, tackling her to the floor and pinning her there. She froze for a second, moments before she knew exactly what she planned to do afterwards, but now that she was there, she wasn't sure if she should or not. Fortunately for her, Twilight was hoping for the same thing, and pulled her down to her. The kiss was unexpected for all parties, but no pony was disappointed. Rainbow had some practice under her belt, and Twilight seemed to have a knack for it. It was perfect, and couldn't last long enough. Rainbow pulled away. "I will never give you up," she whispered tenderly. "I will never give you up," Twilight whispered back, planting another small kiss on Rainbow. "I'm never gonna let you down, never gonna let you down. I'm never gonna run around or desert you. I'm never gonna make you cry, never gonna make you cry. I'm never gonna say goodbye, never say goodbye. I'm never gonna tell you a lie or hurt you." Rainbow started crying silently. She never expected Twilight to return her sentiment. She started laughing as well, joined in instantly by Twilight. They kissed again, except more passionately, but they could barely keep their faces in the correct position as they tried to pull back into a smile every time either of them realized the situation they were in. What felt like eons later, Rainbow rolled off Twilight and lay on her back, feeling a weird desire to unfold her wings, and she did so. The feathers on the tips of her wings tickled Twilight, making her giggle uncontrollably. So Rainbow continued until Twilight was in fits of hysterical laughter, her back arcing as she tried to control herself and begging Rainbow to stop, although this only spurred her on. "Rainbow, stop! I'm going to wee myself!" Twilight laughed. Rainbow slowed to a stop grudgingly. She looked over at Twilight, trying to recover from the tickling. She rolled onto her side, shifting uncomfortably to free her trapped wing, and got a closer look at her. There was nothing about her she didn't like, nothing she didn't love about her. "Twilight?" "Yeah, Rainbow?" Twilight said in a final few giggles of her recovery. "I love you." "I love you too," Twilight replied almost instantly, as if she were dying to say it. They rolled into each other and took each other in a tight embrace. They held each other so tightly that they seemed to merge into one. "And I'm never going to give you up," Rainbow whispered. They both fell asleep moments later and didn't rise until morning. They lay on the floor, holding one another, not wanting to give each other up. Ever.